Hello, my name's Nathan Taylor, known as Sockmatician on YouTube, Ravelry, Instagram and Twitter, and this is a tutorial on how to do double yarn overs in double knitting. This little guy here is a skull swatch that I've made. He comes from my Scarf pattern, which features skull and crossbones designs, and you'll notice that his eyes are actually full-on yarn overs. They're holes that work their way all the way through from one side of the fabric to the other, giving him this lovely surprised and startled expression. And this tutorial will demonstrate exactly how to do it. Okay. Here you can see I have my half completed skull. I've got the lower half of his face there, right up to and including his little cute green nose there. I'm just about to work the first of the double yarn overs to create his right eye here. I've just worked a right slanting decrease, decreasing 2 pairs into 1 pair here. That's not actually part of the mechanics itself, that's directed by the pattern, because the double yarn over is a 2-stitch increase or 2-pair increase, and I didn't want to affect the stitch count across the row, so I've done the decrease and I'm going to do another one on either side. So the first row, it is a 2-row process. The first row is really easy. As the name suggests, you're going to yarn over twice. So I'm going to wrap both yarns together once around the needle and a second time around the needle. Sometimes it's easier to put your thumb over the top. I didn't do it then. And you can see the yarns have got a little bit twisted around each other. That doesn't matter, we can fix that later. The next thing I want to do is, my pattern dictates I need to do a centered double decrease, so I'm going to get on and do that here. I'm not going to go into detail about it. I do have a tutorial on how to do this type of decrease already on my YouTube channel, so feel free to head over there. I'll join you in a moment. There we are, that's done, and I'm now at the point where I want to work the double yarn over for his left eye. So once again, I'm just going to wrap both yarns once, thumb on top for ease of keeping hold of it and security, and twice wrapped around. And it's important to make sure that you wrap the yarn anti-clockwise around the tip of the needle. If you go clockwise, then your stitches will be mounted incorrectly when you come to work them next time round, and that could get you into trouble. So I've wrapped around twice, and then I'm going to balance that up with a left slanting decrease to keep my stitch count accurate again. Again, that's not part of the mechanics of the double yarn over, so I'm not going to go into detail here. If you want to know a little bit more about how you can do that, I do have left and right slanting decrease information here on my YouTube channel. So that's done, and as I said, the magic happens on the next row, so I'm very quickly going to work my way to the end of the row, turn back again, and then I can show you what to do when you reach those yarn overs on the subsequent row. Now this is where things get a little bit interesting. I've now reached the 2 wraps of yarn. You can see them looping around the needle twice, and I'm going to be working my knit stitches on this first pair with the green yarn, because I want it to match the face of the skull, and my pearl stitches with the purple yarn. Now you'll see that the green yarn is actually on the wrong side. It's on the left hand side of the purple yarn. Yours probably will be as well, not always, but probably will be. I always sort of tend to just sort of wiggle things around until it is. You actually want to see it there. It's going to make things a lot easier for when we come to working into it for the pearl stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend it's where I want it, and I'm just going to knit into it without worrying about that purple yarn yet. So I'm going to go and just knit as normal. However, I'm not going to slip that green yarn, that green stitch off the left needle yet. I'm going to swing both yarns forward and then purl into the purple stitch with the purple yarn, and then and only then am I going to swing slip the stitches off the left needle and swing the yarns to the back. Now here's the quirky thing. It's important, by the way, not to let the second pair of yarn over stitches slip off at that point. Just slip off the ones you've already worked. The quirky thing about the double yarn overs is you can't work them both in stocking stitch. You do need to work the second pair in reverse stocking stitch, otherwise they'll just unravel. There'll be nothing to hold the 2 stitches apart and it won't work. So for reverse stocking stitch, I bring the knit coloured yarn only to the front, and then I'm going to purl into that again, ignoring that purple yarn. I'm going to go into what is now the second stitch. I'm going to purl with that yarn, bringing the needle back up through there to draw the loop through, as you can see. Then I'm going to go back into that same gap and knit without changing the position of the yarns. You don't need to do that with reverse stocking stitch, they both stay separated at the back. Then I can slip both of those stitches off, now I've worked them both, and then I can return the yarn to the back and reunite it with its partner at the back. And that is one double yarn over worked. Let me just show you that again. I'll get to the next one and I can show you that whole sequence one more time. So here we are again. You can see I've got my two wraps of yarn. There's one pair wrapped there and one pair wrapped there. So I'm going to go into the facing yarn, which should probably be on the wrong side, as I say. Knit, but not slip the yarn off the needles. Bring the yarns to the front and then purl into the correct coloured strand there with the pearl coloured yarn. And then and only then slip both of those off the left needle and return the yarns to the back. Careful not to slip those next two yarn overs off. Then I'm going to bring the front facing yarn to the front to work in reverse stocking stitch. So I've got one at the back, one at the front. I go in, I purl that yarn and bring it back up between the two strands to draw the loop through. Then I go back down between those two strands and knit with the purple yarn, again bringing the needle tip back up between those two strands, slip them both off and return the front yarn to the back and continue double knitting as normal. Do one more stitch and I can show you exactly what that looks like. So here now you can see I've got these lovely, lovely big gaping holes in my knitting. Because of the nature of double knitting and the stitches are being offset by half a stitch, you don't actually see the stitches lining up on top of each other like this. They're actually offset by half a stitch, so you can always see one through the pairs of the others. Not like that, it's like that. That's what's giving us this sort of purple corona here down one side of his eyes. Gives him the impression that he's looking off to the left hand side. I don't mind that at all. On the other side of the swatch we can see again we've got these beautiful big, I think they're really sort of surprised looking yarn overs there. You will notice that there is a little pearl bump in his eyebrows. That's very normal, that's exactly how it should be. That's a consequence of doing the reverse stocking stitch pair rather than both in stocking stitch. That's just a feature of the technique. And there he is looking pretty cool. And now I've worked my way all the way to the top of the chart. Here is the finished product once again. He's got these fabulous eyelet holes which are nice and big and roomy all the way through from one side of the fabric to the other, and on the other side he looks just as good. And there you have it, double yarn overs in double knitting.